we will hear from Carlos Gimenez as well as Mike Sarasti from Miami-Dade, and they will share some of their stories about how they're using government to help engage with their constituents. So please welcome to the stage Carlos and Mike.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. I'm going to get us started. We're here to talk about data-driven storytelling and engagement and a few things that we've been doing this year in Miami-Dade County to really participate in this conversation that a lot of you have been having for a really long time. So our story begins in Miami with open data. Really, it begins with not so open data. So a year ago, we were taking a look, and despite our best efforts to promote transparency, we had a few things out there. We had some spreadsheets in places. In another website somewhere across the internet, we might have had a site where you could go and download some information. We weren't necessarily putting this out in machine-readable formats. We weren't allowing people to download it in formats that they would be using on their desks. So we were doing data and we were doing transparency, but it really wouldn't fall into the category, and we knew we were a little bit far behind doing that. The advantage of actually being a little bit later to the game is in a year ago we didn't have an open data portal. Now we've been able to really make a significant leap moving forward. We've got some of the highest value data sets out there. We've really learned at what some of those are. And we've got everything from 311, permitting, crime, crash data. We've got some procurement data, election results. We're actually looking at that as well. We're using it internally. We're using it externally. We've got APIs sitting in all this data enabled by the Socrata platform that's really helped us build things faster. And we've got a series of new storytelling tools that we're starting to put in there. So a little bit later to the game, but we've actually been able not just to move forward very, very quickly and catch up, but really position ourselves to be a leader moving forward. So what we want to do today is we've got three actually key narratives that we want to sort of walk you through. The first one is our Code for America Fellowship. We were a Code for America Fellowship city this year, the first in Florida, and how we use that to help propel the launch moving forward. And also now how we're moving into where we can really target internal benefits and how it's helping us save money internally. Finally, how we intend to use open data to connect our municipalities. And with that, I actually want to introduce again, Mr. Mayor, thank you so much, because without your leadership, none of this is possible without strong executive support, and I want to personally thank you for that.
It's my pleasure.
Last year,
yeah.
There you are, sir, pressing the button and launching the open data portal last February. It's not that long ago. That is Rebecca Monson, our Code for Miami Brigade captain. Again, strong partnerships being a key. And maybe sort of tell us a little bit about Miami-Dade County and what it looks like today, specifically maybe the tech sector. And
well, Miami-Dade County is exploding. The tech sector there is exploding. Miami-Dade County itself has helped launch a couple of things. Venture Hive, which is a startup incubator. We helped to launch that. It's with the University of Miami. We planted some seed money. Emerge Americas. We put $1 million into that conference. First year had about 6,000 attendees. Last year had over 10,000 attendees. And also they collaborated with the NBC Univision brand, where basically they were broadcasting from Miami and Emerge all last year. And so we wanted to diversify our economy in Miami. In Miami-Dade, we were known for tourism and finance and a couple other sectors, and so part of the diversification of our economy there's a thing called One Community, One Goal, and we really focused in on IT, on technology, high technology. And I've been the mayor for about 4 years as we've been focusing in on it, and now we're starting to see the fruits of that labor. And so we're becoming one of the tech centers here in the United States. I know over in San Francisco they have Silicon Valley. I want to have Tech Beach. And so got nice beaches, technology. It all kind of works together, really. Okay. So some of the things that are up on the board. We are a Code for America county. We're the only county that was supported by Code for America. We have eGov, Cambridge Innovation Center just recently announced that they're going to be opening, I think, their second innovation center in collaboration with the University of Miami. We have Lab Miami. Like I said, there's a very rich, growing technology sector in Miami, and I'm very proud of it.
So again, the Code for America Fellowship has been a very, very important partner. And one of the things that we, in terms of a strategy that we wanted to do, is these are difficult things to sort of get people to get their heads around. So we wanted to sort of wrap it all together. One of our instructions to Code for America early on was, whatever you build, we want you to build it on top of open data. Right? That way we can sort of get both of these things together, wrapped up, have that conversation at the same time. And what they've been building, and they continue to build, we got a month left with them, so we're really pressing them pretty hard right now, but what this is a dashboard. It does a few things. One of the things it does is it's actually created a feedback mechanism on the field to help people provide feedback about inspections, and then provide real-time feedback about the results of those surveys. So it could be surveys on the field when they're visiting an inspection center. It could be surveys received from an actual inspection that occurred on site. They're allowing people to submit via SMS, or as well they can submit online. The rest of this is actually pulling directly from our open data repository. So from our permitting data set, from our 311 data set, and aggregating this information that people might have had at different points in time, but not in one easy, beautiful, efficient place that they can come look and get a real accurate picture of the story. Plus, it's citizen-facing, right? So this is not just for managers that are out there. We have a couple different views. Managers can actually have this on their screen, get a nice picture of what's going on that includes citizen feedback and includes actual performance data, all wrapped in one place. But from a citizen perspective, now you've got this dashboard that can actually give you some intelligence about how long it takes to pull a permit. So if I'm a business owner coming into town, I got this great idea for a business, I'm really focused on that idea, I might think it's going to take me 20 days to pull a permit, and I'll be up in business in weeks. A lot of
Not so fast.
Not so fast, right? So from us as a county being able to provide information to people, this is one tool that we're actually telling the story of what permitting might look like. And that might prevent people from making some really bad decisions early on, might sign it at least too early if they haven't done all the right math. So aside from being a tool internally to tell that story, we're actually providing those same tools externally, with open data being the rallying point, the connector between.
But it is a tool that allows us to get it to 20 days, because that's really what we want to get to. We want to put you in business, get you in business as quickly as we can. And one of the things that I ran on when I was running for mayor about 4 years ago, there's a very short story where an individual had basically completed his building, thought he was going to get his permits in about 20 days, like you said, made a bet that he was going to let his hair grow until he actually got the permits. And so his hair got down to about here. And then when he finally opened up, he cut his hair, but that was about a year later. Now, what's the problem with that? The problem with that is that during a time when we had a bad economy, 30 people were without jobs for a year because of our processes. And so we're starting to whittle that down. We need the data in order to get it down to as little as possible so that we can get you in business. We do our job, which we have to regulate, and we have to make sure that your business can actually go where you say it's going to go and do it in the right way. But for far too long, it's taken way too long to establish a business, and business means jobs for people, and that's really the mantra of my administration is jobs. Jobs, fiscal responsibility, et cetera, but jobs really is very key to my administration.
Now, this was a really cool moment, sir, when you brought in all your senior staff to come here. That's Jen Palka from Code for America, founder of Code for America. Right as we were doing the fellowship, the mayor invited her to come by and visit because he wanted to make sure they heard the message from her. Can you talk a little bit about why that was important to you?
It's important because you have to change culture, and the culture, we have a very established IT culture in Miami-Dade. Do things a certain way, kind of hoard the data a little bit, and I wanted to make sure that they knew, and as I was pushing the agenda, that we want to be more open, we want to have more access to our government. I want to see more eyes looking at what we're doing, and not to be hoarding data. And so it was very important for me to bring her so that we can transition ourselves into a much more open, transparent kind of government.
Here's a great example of that now. That's your budget, sir. You released recently, and talk a little bit maybe about that. And
This is the 4.6. We were about 4.7 billion operating. We actually have about a $7 billion budget in Miami-Dade. There are about 25,000 employees, but I have 2.6 million residents. And as mayor, even though I'm the chief executive officer of the county, it's a strong mayor system, I don't know everything. And so what I want to do is I want to have our citizens actually go through our data and point out things that we may be doing right or actually may be doing wrong, so that if we're doing it wrong, we can stop it, or we won't do it again if it's already happened. So now it's very easy to read format. You can go into our budget, click and see what the police department is spending, what they're spending it on, etc. And if there's something there you don't like, you can obviously tell us. But I want us to have more citizen involvement in their government. One thing that I find is that everybody knows who the president is. Fewer people know who the governor is. A lot of people don't even know who the vice president is. And when you go into a local government, a lot of people don't know the structure of your government or who it is that is your representative. And yet local government touches your life every single day. We pick up your garbage, we respond to emergencies, we set up the traffic lights, we clean the streets, etc. And the fact is, we touch your life a heck of a lot more than probably the federal government does every day. And you need to be involved with your local government because it does affect your quality of life and your children's quality of life.
So this is an example. We've got our Code for Miami Brigade. Again, one of the key points is that we had a very, very strong local brigade. And that brigade probably wouldn't have been as strong or continue to be as strong unless we as a government had continued to foster that. So we've got to show up, and we continue to show up. And this group kept growing. This group started about 3 or 4 of us. And here what you've got is, this could be any given Monday night. They meet Monday nights from 7 to 9. And when you've got people meeting Mondays, giving up their Mondays from 7 to 9, and these are people with jobs and families, that's something to pay attention to, considering that it's been around for 2.5 years now, I believe. That's something that we really wanted to participate in. I mean, I think that speaks to you actually looking for the people out there on the field that really want to slice and dice this stuff.
It's like I said before, it's a 2.6 million mayors. And 2.6 million mayors is the eyes and ears of our citizens being engaged in their local government and participating. Things that we do good, great. Things that we don't do good or don't do well, we want to get that feedback because we want to continuously to improve the way that we deliver services in Miami-Dade County. And we want to deliver them in the most efficient, most cost-effective way. Because if we do that, then that means that we don't have to charge as much in taxes and fees, etc. And I'm also a believer that that government should get the resources that it needs, but only get the resources that it needs. It shouldn't get more than it needs, because that money really belongs to you, belongs to the people of Miami-Dade County. And I probably take much better care of the people's money than probably my own. I buy stuff that I probably shouldn't be buying, but I don't do that with the people's money. Everything that we buy, everything that we do, it's always with an eye to, okay, is that the most cost-effective, efficient method of delivering services and high-quality services to our residents? The 2.6 million mayors and the open data is, what we're trying to do to make sure that that happens. It's their data. It's not our data. And government that hoards data is really doing a disservice. And so for us, we've got a couple of things. There's a couple of laws actually in Florida that are a little bit unique and different from some other jurisdictions. We have a sunshine law, which means everything that I do, everything that I touch, anything, even a note that I write, is open to public records. If you walk into the Stephen P. Clark building, which is our headquarters, and you go up to my office, you will find that my office is unlocked. You can go in there and see anything you want because it's there. It's your information. and there's no secrets kept there. And so for us, what I found in Miami-Dade, that we were hoarding this data, and when in fact it's not ours. It belongs to the people. And so hopefully more governments will be more receptive to this, because that data can actually launch new businesses, new applications, things we've never thought of can be launched with this data. And so, as an example of one of those things is as we're coming out of the Code for America in San Francisco, I ran into a couple of the folks from Code, the Miami branch of it, and said, look, what we need is some kind of application that tells our bus patrons that the bus is coming and when it's coming. It gets a little hot in Miami every once in a while. And so if you knew when the bus was coming, you could go somewhere inside and kind of wait and drink a coffee or whatever, and then come out and catch the bus. And we'd actually get more ridership that way. I think we were looking at the traditional government was looking for GPS devices and this and all that's going to cost us $10 million to do all this stuff. And there they said, well, all you need is really a smartphone on every bus, and kind of tells you where the bus is, and we can make an application to make that happen, and probably like for $500,000, okay? A heck of a lot cheaper than the $10 million that government normally goes through. And the open data for me, it's very important again, because as I started my career as a firefighter, believe it or not, I'm a firefighter, okay? And so 20, 30 years ago, we went through a process which is, I guess you call the waterfall method, all right, and which still is being used by a lot of governments. And that there was a couple of programs. One, we wanted to know all the information about buildings that we were responding to, and the other one was how we were going to dispatch all our apparatus. And I was the subject matter expert for those two things, and we went through a process that took like 2 or 3 years to actually put and then code, made the code and all for it, and then all the things we had to do for it to make it work. And by the time it actually got out, mostly it was obsolete. And so, I'm a big believer in being, quick, agile, and having the fastest, easiest way to use the data to put an application into service so that it actually does good right away, instead of having to wait, 3, 4, 5 years for a process that would probably be, especially in today's world, will be obsolete by the time that it comes out. So that's what I'm looking for 2.6 million mayors.
I think that internal ROI for open data, that's the big number we're looking for. What does that look like? Freeing up resources, we've already done that freeing up of resources. I mean, just since June, we were able to move data sets that were within a public access office. We were able to move those over. There was a person maintaining those that was about to retire. We moved those over to open data. We've already realized not having to rehire somebody for that position and realize savings there. We're seeing that in terms of public access elsewhere with positions. Automation APIs, I think, speaks to our ability to iterate what the mayor was saying. We now can have developers both internally and externally building off of the APIs. I joke around with, it's not so much of a joke, but I tell Steve from Socrata all the time as he's coming in, I was like, Steve, what are you? He's like, Mike, we're an API company, right? And that API within Socrata has enabled us to do so much within the last year. We've been able to turn on a dime. Our Code for America fellows have been able to develop software or make tweaks in a couple days because we're able to upload a data set that's stuck in a database somewhere, move it onto the platform, and build and iterate on that thing and put up tests very, very quickly. So everything that you saw up on the screen, and then some, obviously the demo isn't specifically what they built, but so many things that they've been able to do specifically based on us changing our mentality and opening up that information, opening up that data. Last, I think what we want to cover, Mr. Mayor, just the analytical capacity of our workforce. I know that things used to get stuck in spreadsheets and binders, and I know performance management is a key thing for you. How do you see open data fitting into benefiting the workforce in general?
Well, it solves a cardinal sin of data collection, is that you make all these people collect all this data, put it down, never use it. And so for me, it solves that problem. Yes, we want the data, but then we want the data to be used in a easy to understand and usable format A lot of the data that was created for a long time in Miami-Dade County probably just went on the shelf. Nobody even looked at it. And yet we spent hundreds of thousands of hours of man hours and personnel hours putting it down. I know that when I was riding, and I was an EMS guy, and so when I was riding on our EMS trucks, a lot of the data that I had to jot down, write it down, and then put it in a computer, I knew it was never used, never utilized, and to me it was just a waste of time. Now it's not. I mean, we're going to be using it to make ourselves better.
So what's the future look like? The future looks like we're going to be using open data to help connect our municipalities and looking at data standards, right? The 30-some municipalities within Miami-Dade County. We want open data to help serve as the glue. Let's pull the information out of those databases that are sitting. We're not asking anybody to rewrite their core systems. We're just saying share your data, put it all in the same place, and we're going to be able to do a lot of really cool things with that. We're heading over now after this to USDS and 18F. So,
right. On the final thing on connecting municipalities, we have over 30 municipalities in Miami-Dade County. We're the only ones that know where the boundaries are. There's Miami here, Miami-Dade here, there's Coral Gables here, there's Miami here. We're the only ones, people inside baseball know where the boundaries are. Our residents, they're all our customers, they're all our residents. And so we make them do things in one city that don't make them do in another city. We have to do things in a city and the county. What we want to do is basically whatever thing that you need to do in your city or in the county, basically do it from the comfort of your home, press a button, and whatever jurisdiction needs to get the paperwork or the permits or whatever, it gets done automatically, and then we're able to process it much faster that way. There's a lot of time wasted by our citizens dealing with the cross-jurisdictional issues in our county. We want to eliminate that.
Thank you for hearing our story. Mr. Mayor, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.